What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Pregame. Coming to you live from our studios here in the West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck. You can follow me on Bulls_Peck. Our proud producer, Joey Spathers, on the controls. He is at Joey Spathers. And filling in for our guy, Big Dave, tonight, because he has taken his nephew to the Madhouse to see his first ever in-person Bulls game. We are pleased to welcome our friend, Stephen Garner from CHGO Sky, also contributor for PHNX Suns. Welcome. Good to see you again, man.
Good to be back.
Was it what we were sitting in with us? Was it for the holiday party night?
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Wonderful. Enjoy your holiday weekend?
Oh, absolutely. Nothing like spending time with the family.
Hey, nothing better. Are you excited to watch the Bulls tonight as someone who watches a lot of Suns who are also struggling?
You know, it's actually fun watching the Bulls just because of where they came from earlier in the season, like we were talking about before the pod.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very excited to see this game. It should be a fun pace to it, too.
Suns trending down. Bulls still kind of trending up, even though they're coming off of a pretty ugly loss to the Cavs. That was, schedule loss, fourth game in 6 nights. Bulls looked exhausted and fatigued and played like it. They got a chance to get back on track against the Hawks tonight. We will talk about this Hawks and Bulls matchup, interesting injury updates for both squads, who's playing, who's not, and take a look at this Hawks backcourt of Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. There was also some pretty interesting stuff about Dejounte Murray that just broke earlier today from Shams, so we can touch on that. First, though, how much of that NBA Christmas Day slate did you watch yesterday? I know you watched the Suns Mavs game.
I watched probably 80 to 85% of it.
What stood out to you in 12 hours of NBA basketball?
Well, what stood out first is that the Celtics are the best team in the league.
Man.
And they are steps ahead of the whoever you want to consider the second best. The Lakers are very much up and down, even after winning the in-season tournament, which people crowned them as the NBA champions for.
Sure did.
In November.
Yep. The banner is up.
It is up. It's not going anywhere. And then the other thing is that Luka Doncic is a generational talent. Breaking news, I know.
Man.
But it's just a constant reminder.
Yeah.
Whether he's playing for a team you support, you write for, you cover, or you're a fan of or not,
yeah,
enjoy the greatness that the league is presenting to us.
The entertainment value with Luka never falls.
No.
I mean, he's putting together another incredible season.
Yep.
His stat line last night, 50 on 15 of 25, 8 of 16 from 3, a perfect 12 of 12 from the line.
Yep.
15 dimes, 6 boards, 4 steals, 3 blocks. He did it all in that game.
He did.
And made it look easy.
He did.
When do we get one of those?
Man, listen, you just got to strike. You got to find it and hit it. But what's crazy about Luka, he is doing this, and he's not even manipulating the ball the way that he used to earlier in his career.
Yeah.
Or even how he did 2 years ago when they made it to the conference finals against the Warriors. He's doing stuff off the ball. He's sharing the ball a lot more. He's getting off it quicker. He's playing with more pace and tempo. It's crazy to see him doing the same thing, maybe even better than he was before, without being as manipulative with the ball in his hands.
And the crazy thing also is that, look, we've seen a young Luka lead that Mavs team for years now to moderate success. Took him all the way to the conference finals one time, and has done it without a whole lot of help. And now, the Mavs made the bold move to bring Kyrie in. Kyrie's missed a lot of time with injury. And he's still just one of our good buddy Sabine from our former Bulls Outsiders gig, diehard Mavs fan. Every time he is forced to watch Dwight Powell play significant minutes, he texts us in a gigantic fury. But Luka finds ways to make these complementary pieces around him. It's not like the Mavs are leading the West right now, but they are competitive. And I feel like Luka is 93% of the reason why they're competitive.
Yes, he is. And the way that the Mavericks have been playing this season, the other 7% is like Dante Exum.
Oh my God!
So it's like he's doing a different level of carrying and backpacking of a franchise.
Yeah.
Again, something he's not unfamiliar to at this point. But yeah, just appreciate the talents that you're seeing in the entire NBA outside of just the Chicago Bulls, because the league is in a great space right now.
I mean, it was an entertaining day from start to finish. You know, Knicks beating the Bucks.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big win for the Knicks. People still really aren't sure what the Bucks are going to be, trying to figure out this new Dame version of themselves. You mentioned Celtics, Lakers. Nuggets, Warriors was great. You know, you got Joker and Steph in the same game. I'm watching that 11 times out of 10.
For sure.
Heat Sixers was definitely a bummer. Because and like it was such a Jimmy move to be like, Christmas Day? Nah.
I'm good.
It's the same attitude he has towards All-Star games. Like,
for sure.
I don't want to play. So you got no Embiid and no Jimmy, which like it just took so much air out of that game.
It did, but shout out Jaime Jaquez for saving Christmas for Miami in the way he showed up.
Well, Jaime Jaquez is a tough sore subject for Bulls fans right now because Bulls fans are jealous that Miami has that guy.
For sure, as it should be.
But such a Heat player. You come in, you see him come to the NBA level, and you're like, okay, he was a pretty good player in college, and then he goes into that Heat system, and you're like, oh, he's obnoxiously this good already. What the hell? But yeah, I mean, the Luka performance was the cherry on top. Did you see that stat? I know Mark Stein, among others, was talking about it last night and then into this morning, that he became the fastest active player to 10,000 points, which he did in that game last night.
And I think for Suns fans, it's ironic, but it's also not ironic that it happened against them, and not just against them, but actually in Phoenix. Yeah, he's like the Grinch or the Grim Reaper for the Phoenix.
But without the happy ending part.
Yeah, without the happy ending.
Where the Grinch gives the presents out.
Correct. He's coming and he's taking away everything. He's taking away Christmas spirits and championship runs and all of that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I do feel bad for our friends over there in Phoenix having to watch. You watch NBA basketball all day, getting amped up for that big matchup, and then you just have to watch Luka just torch you with a bunch of G League players. Man. The list of players who achieved the 10,000 career point threshold faster than Luka is wild and short.
How many names?
Okay. 7 names. Luka became the tied for 7th fastest player in NBA history to reach 10K with his 10,000th point last night. You want to take a guess at who the fastest was?
LeBron James?
Nope. LeBron was soon after Luka, who, by the way, did it in 358 regular season games.
That's crazy.
I think LeBron was somewhere in like the 360, 370 range.
Tracy McGrady?
Nope. Think big men of years past.
Shaquille O'Neal?
Nope.
Hakeem Olajuwon?
Nope. You might be too young for this.
Oh, my goodness.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain? Yeah,
there you
I was
go.
going to say either Wilt.
Okay, so Luka reached 10K in 358 games. Wilt Chamberlain did it in 236.
That's crazy.
100 plus fewer games.
That's insane.
Second fastest to 10K. This is an easy one. If you're tuning into our CHGO content, MJ.
Yeah.
303 games. Then Elgin Baylor, then Kareem, then Oscar Robertson, then George Gervin, and then Bob McAdoo, also tying Luka at 358 games. That is a list of players who did it faster or as fast as Luka.
That list is crazy. And shout out Bob McAdoo.
Dude.
I don't think a lot of people understand how much of a bucket he was, especially in his era. And it just goes to show how much more there is to basketball. There's so many layers to the history of the sport.
Truly.
That somebody like Luka, who is as prolific a scorer with the three-point line and the usage of it, that somebody like Bob McAdoo from generations past
was doing that with only 2-point field goals.
Correct. Only 2-point field goals.
Bonkers. Wilt was not shooting threes.
Good Lord.
And he got 10,000 points in basically 200 games.
That is insane.
It is really dumb.
And the pace was so much slower on top of it.
Although their offense was every time down the floor, throw the ball into Wilt.
Give it to him.
And then Wilt dunks it. It worked great.
It did. It did.
That's how you get a 100-point game right there.
For sure.
Drewish in the comments said, Wilt distilled, holy smokes. Jeff saying that's wild. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us for pregame. Brandon also, who feels good about Bulls plus 2.5. Is that really what the Bulls are getting tonight? They're getting plus 2.5 at home against this Atlanta team? Absolutely take that.
Cash in.
Also, shout out to our friend Clem, Bulls French TV, who said, just pop it in real quick while at work to say hello. Let's get the dub tonight. Man, sorry you have to work, but maybe just pull the Bulls streaming out on your. I'm guessing as a French Bulls fan, you got League Pass, so
for sure.
Just don't let your boss see the phone tonight.
That's it.
All right, let's get a quick break to give some shout outs to our sponsors. Then we'll come back, start talking about Bulls Hawks on deck tonight. While we're doing that, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. Do it for our friend Joseph. Do it for our friend Steven, sitting in for Big Dave tonight like a champ the day after Christmas.
That's right.
Nobody wants to work today. Here he is, like a true team player.
That's right.
Tonight's pregame brought to you guys by Circa Sportsbook. Speaking of that Bulls spread tonight, Circa also always offers those tight money line splits and uses their low hold model. They always strive to have their game spreads, their over-under total point spreads to be at -110, not -115 or -120, because there's no good reason for doing that other than some sports betting apps are selfish with it. Not Circa, though. They also don't limit players based on their recent winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit their winning players. They even encourage bettors to not only download and try out their Circa Sports Illinois app, but any and all other betting apps that are available to us these days, and we know there are many, because they're confident that when you try them all, you'll decide and you'll find that the best value is always at Circa with their lines, with their odds, with their payouts. They also have unbeatable customer service. Real people helping you resolve any issues with that Circa Sports Illinois app, if there are any. No chatbots. Bad chatbot. Go away, chatbot. Nobody wants you. Circa has real humans running their customer service, which is what real humans want when they need customer service. Download that Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Be on the lookout for their events, watch parties, and tailgates as well. If you or someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com. Joseph, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, Matt.
What time is it?
Game time. Who?
That's the right answer, folks. Tonight's pregame also brought to you by Game Time, the best ticketing app around. You shouldn't have to worry where you're buying tickets to your next big event, your game, your concert, whatever it is. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer, as Big Dave would say, last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy. One of the best features that Game Time has to offer. I always want to know where I'm sitting. Like, for example, my friends and I scored some great tickets to a concert this New Year's Eve. We're going to go out, see some live music this New Year's Eve, and we're old, so we don't want to be standing up at this concert all night. We want a seat. So we used Game Time to find not only the seats where we wanted to sit so we could see the stage where we're sitting, but know that we have a seat. Thanks, Game Time. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on those tickets. They continue to get better and better deals right up to the start of the event. Even an hour after it starts, you can still find great savings for tickets to that event on Game Time, the place to find last-minute deals. And, of course, the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find the tickets in the same section and row for a cheaper price, Game Time will credit you 110% of that difference. That's the Game Time guarantee. So, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Bulls, Hawks. Who is ready? Because I don't know if you've been watching a lot of Bulls, Hawks in the last few years, Steven. Mm-hmm. These two teams always seem to end up playing wild games.
They do.
Unpredictable. Nope. Often overtime featured, like knock on wood. I hope I didn't just jinx them into playing overtime tonight. I don't know what it is about these two teams where they always just have chaotic, frenetic energy and wild endings.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this matchup either, but it's just a fun matchup. It's just generally fun.
It is.
It's fun, and they always bring some drama to the end of these games. I'm vividly remembering the game. I believe it was last season, where they were in Atlanta at State Farm, and Io was having back and forths with Trey Young, and And the game ends up going to overtime, and this might have even been a season before, and DeMar ends up coming through in the clutch again like he typically does. But again, it's one of those games where there's these high lows and these highs and lowest lows.
Right.
And then find a way they're both just right here at the end.
Yep.
And then the content is there.
We saw the Hawks beat the Bulls on that crazy last-second inbounds play to A.J. Griffin with the bucket underneath.
Yep.
Then Ayo Dosunmu was the hero. The next time they play with a crazy offensive rebound at the last second, then he gets mobbed by his teammates. Like these teams playing each other, it's wild. So hopefully we're in for some entertaining hoops tonight. As far as injuries go, updates for both teams. Let's start with the bad news for the Bulls. Nikola Vucevic out tonight. He popped up on the injury report with a left adductor contusion, and it's when he got dunked on by Max Strus in their game against the Cavs. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Literally.
Was listed as questionable. Then we heard from Billy Donovan earlier tonight that Vooch will not play. MRI revealing there is a groin strain. There is not a timetable yet for Vooch's return. Billy hoping that it is not a long absence. Bummer for Vooch, who, by the way, streak ending, had not missed a game since the Bulls' regular season finale in the 21-22 season. Played all 82 last year, played their playing games last year. Maybe it's good news for some Bulls fans who want to see more of Drummond, though, Stephen.
Yeah, this is true for the people that love rebounding. He's gonna run up the rebounds. He might get 15 plus tonight with the minutes volume he's likely gonna get.
I mean, like, we might also see Billy play some small ball tonight. We saw him go double big with Vooch and Drummond in their loss to the Cavs on Saturday because they were getting worked on the boards. That really didn't fix anything. We also saw him go small. Billy did mention to the media, including our Will to Go Gottlieb pregame, that he might look at some more small ball lineups tonight featuring Patrick Williams at the 5. He said we might even see Terry Taylor. And another name that I think Bulls fans have been a little, at least somewhat curious to see from, because he has been playing well for the Windy City Bulls, Adama Sanogo has been brought up to the real team and is available. Billy said it's possible we see some Sanogo minutes tonight as well.
I would be intrigued to see if Sanogo gets minutes, how he fares. Just considering I watched a little bit of him in college, and so I was aware of the type of player he can be. He was rather dominant in college. I don't know if any Bulls fans went back and watched or saw him live.
Oh, yeah.
That dude was really, really, really good. So I'm just curious how those characteristics that he had on the college circuit that he's trying to ingratiate onto the G League level and obviously on the NBA level now, how well that's going to go for him. Nonetheless, I'm excited for him for the opportunity, and I hope he does well with it.
I mean, I think Bulls fans are excited to maybe see some minutes from him because diehard Bulls fans who are watching Windy City Bulls action or who were watching Bulls Summer League action, they see a big, strong guy in Sanogo who can work the glass well. He doesn't have, a big, wide range of offensive skill set yet, but he can finish inside and he can grab you rebounds. And as much as the Bulls have excelled offensive rebounding and making that a priority this season compared to last, they've been struggling on the defensive glass a lot this season. Most recent example is losing to the Cavs 30-4 in second chance points in their loss on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, especially for a team like the Bulls, and even more so without Vooch, having, in addition to Drummond, because obviously he brings it, if anywhere else on the glass, having another piece that can do some things that are like similar to that and bring a level of physicality to the party, and just a general energy, like a breath of fresh air type of dynamic, I think is important to have. And Sanogo, I think at his baseline, regardless of how effective he is or not, is going to definitely bring that dynamic to the mix.
Right. So with Vooch out, Bulls officially announced that Drummond will get the start at the center spot, joining Kobe, Caruso, DeMar, and Patrick Williams. But before we shift to the Hawks real quick, I feel like we haven't chatted recently enough since this Kobe White tear. Like, you were talking to us when we were watching the Bulls win this the fourth straight against the Spurs, when it was like maybe they're starting to turn it around. And Kobe in that was just starting to turn this corner. He's continued that trend since the last time you joined us and is basically putting up borderline all-star numbers over his last dozen games. What do you make of this version of Kobe we're seeing?
He's just fun. I think that's the one word to describe Kobe right now.
Something Bulls fans have been desperate for.
Correct. And that's something that this team was is just needed in the worst way after the cloud that was over the team the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So just looking at Kobe, man, I mean, you can start with offense, but I want to start with the defensive side because I feel like because of as loud as his offense has been, it's kind of taken away the attention from how good of a defender he is.
Yeah.
He's been that for a few seasons now, and Billy tries to emphasize that when asked questions about how he's progressing.
Yeah.
Kobe's an elite screen navigator, something that Alex Caruso gets the utmost credit for, which he deserves.
The perimeter defense whisperer, man.
Correct. That's him. That is him. And Kobe, I don't know if he necessarily picked up things to that extent from Alex, but Kobe has the footwork and the ability to navigate around screens to keep the defensive shell intact.
Yeah.
And you talk about a Bulls team that's turning a corner in terms of field, but also numerically.
Yeah.
You can't do that if you're not containing the ball on the perimeter. You can't defend and pick and roll.
Right.
Kobe's the point guard, starting point guard. Guess what? A starting point guard is going to be involved in 25-plus ball screens a night,
right,
if not more, depending on if you're going against Trae Young or Steph Curry.
Right.
Trae Young's obviously going to be with the ball in his hands more, running more pick and roll. So a matchup like tonight should put on display a lot of Kobe's strengths defensively.
Exactly. And like Bulls fans over the last few seasons have really enjoyed looking forward to watching the Ayo Dosunmu shutting down Trae Young part of these Bulls-Hawks games that are wild, and that's one aspect of it. And now it seems like Bulls fans might be just as excited to see Kobe D up Trae and what that looks like tonight. Speaking of, Jeep Life 21 in the comments who said, who has more points tonight, Kobe or Trae Young? What do you think? Trae's been averaging like 30 and 10 for his last stretch of games. He's averaging 28 and 12 on the season. Will that Bulls, stable of defensive guards lock him up tonight?
Man, it's hard. I can't say Kobe's gonna outscore him, but I will say that Kobe will outplay him though.
Ooh, well there you
we're
go.
Gonna talk about that.
Speaking of, Trae himself was questionable for tonight's game. He's dealing with a shoulder sprain. He is, however, active. DeAndre Hunter, who you and I were chatting about before we sat down to start pregame, is out. The team announced, I think yesterday, maybe day before yesterday, having a non-surgical procedure to try to fix a knee inflammation issue he's been having. They'll reevaluate him in 2 weeks, but he's out for tonight. AJ Griffin remains out for personal reasons. But in addition to Trae getting the green light tonight, other big positive news for this Hawks team is they get Jalen Johnson back tonight, who'd been out since late November with a wrist injury and was not only giving them great minutes, but he was starting for them. 12 of their first 10 games, Jalen Johnson is starting and giving you, 15 and 8, 15 and 7 off the bench and being one of their, next to Trae, most reliable three-point threats.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing with Johnson is that his defense for a team that's extremely offensively inclined in terms of most of their pieces on the roster, he's a connecting piece that allows for them to get out on a break and play with pace the way that they want to, because as we saw in their last couple of games with Miami and Memphis, without Hunter and without Johnson, that team looks a lot different to the point where they can't sustain stops on defense.
No.
And regardless of how many points you're scoring, if you can't stop somebody enough, it's not going to matter.
Right. And that's been this Hawks team's issue thus far this season. They're 5th in offense. They're 27th in defense. I mean, like, they just cannot get enough stops. So they basically need to put up 130 or somewhere in that area to get themselves in a position to win games. Let's talk for a second about their backcourt. The Hawks were lauded for a while to make that bold move to bring in Dejounte Murray to pair with Trae Young. And these two guys are both having pretty strong starts to their seasons. I don't know if you have their stat lines that you can throw up, Joe, but I mentioned Trae averaging 28 and 11. Those career highs for Trae Young thus far in 11.2 assists per game and 39.1 behind the three-point line, which is wild when I went and looked at Trae's stats this morning. For a guy who's so well known for his range and his three-point shooting ability and building an offense with that as a big staple to it, this would be his career high, 39. He's never been a 40% three-point shooter, which is nuts.
Yeah. I think there's a misnomer about Trae, and a lot of people make that just because it's kind of a lazy take. I'll just go ahead and say that he's Steph Curry.
Right.
He's not Steph.
No.
He's not Steph in any capacity. Besides being a light-skinned basketball player that's a point guard and shoots three-pointers, there's nothing else.
That's where the similarities end.
That's it. Trae doesn't do much off the ball, and that ironically, is one of his weaknesses within this game is that when he's off the ball, like you have to be able to account for him as a catch and shoot player, but it's not something that he's comfortable doing.
Right.
And in addition to that, he's not moving without the ball much. But yeah, Trae's having a career season to be as efficient and really proficient in pick and roll.
Yeah.
As he is. Like, I know Tyrese Halliburton is getting a lot of attention and deservedly so.
Rightly so, yeah.
Deservedly so for sure. He's my favorite young point guard in the league. Trae's been doing this for multiple seasons now, and it's translated as well in effectiveness to the playoff stage. Now, he has shortcomings in terms of defense, but on offense, his pick and roll play is all-time great. That type of stratosphere on high volume per game. He's able to score out of it. He's able to assist out of it to front court pieces or to hit any shooter. He can make any pass under the sun. Yeah. And he's just a unique talent in that regard. Now, if that's not your cup of tea, you can easily find weaknesses within this game because there are plenty. But when he has the ball in his hands, there's like those things are minimized.
Sure. Opponents will hunt him on the defensive end on a nightly basis, but more often than not, what he's giving you offensively will outweigh that. But I think the issue that Hawks fans are dealing with and their team might be taking a hard look at the mirror right now is that despite Trae doing what he's doing, including some career best numbers, scoring and dishing out assists, and Dejounte Murray, solid complementary piece. He's averaging 20 and 5 assists himself this season on respectable shooting numbers. 46, 38, 83. That's nothing to sneeze at. But this isn't leading to a team that's winning more than it loses. And that's probably why we heard a report from Shams on his Inside the Association show earlier today that the Hawks are considering and listening to offers for potentially trading Dejounte Murray, which you made this big move and you give up all of this draft capital, young talent to bring in Dejounte Murray. You're not seeing the results as far as win-loss record. And now you're saying, hey, this team over here, the Lakers might want Dejounte Murray. The Knicks might want Dejounte Murray. What do you make of it if they give up on this trade Dejounte backcourt so quickly?
I think you made some intelligent points before the pod and speaking to the fact that they're not going to get what they gave up in return for him.
Not a chance.
Yeah, exactly. There's no chance in it. I think this is a play for Quinn Snyder because obviously this trade was made before he came in. Nate McMillan had a complete different philosophy and approach to the game than Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder's approach has been a little bit more proven in terms of the successes he saw with the Utah Jazz. Yeah. So this is maybe just a play for them to lean more into the style of play and the roster context needed for Quinn Snyder's philosophies to be optimized. So that's just kind of how I process it. And whether they can get pieces in return that fit and align with that, that's a whole different thing to talk about. But I do think that it's smart because I think there is a ceiling with Dejounte and Trae. You don't see teams succeeding or excelling on the NBA in the contending realm with two point guards of an elite caliber like this. There has to be some type of variance. Now, we talked about if Trae was more capable off the ball, that would make this fit make more sense. But because of how these two players play, it makes more sense to get rid of Dejounte and get pieces that make sense in return.
What would you do if you were in their shoes? Would you give this group a little bit more time? I mean, we still have until February 8th for teams that maybe want to make a pivot. The Hawks, and brace yourselves, Bulls fans, because this is exactly how the standings are coming into tonight's game. This is true. The Bulls, by the narrowest of margins, and the fact that they've played 2 more games than the Hawks and have 1 more win and 1 more loss, are winning percentage-wise just ahead of Atlanta, 10th over 11th. So the Hawks are now outside looking in to even being a play-in team. If you're running this Hawks team, how much leash do you continue to give them before you start calling up every team who you think might be interested to change directions because you're giving up on the Trae Young, Dejounte Murray experience?
Well, I would be in a rush to do so, just to get those pieces. If, hypothetically speaking, you're able to execute upon multiple trades, get those pieces in-house and get to building under Quinn Snyder 10 toes down as soon as you possibly can. It's barely past the quarter mark of the season, so there's still time to climb back into play-in territory and maybe even potentially duck the play-in and get into the playoffs. If you strike early, that's the philosophy I would operate with. They have pieces that would certainly intrigue teams outside of Dejounte. Talked about DeAndre Hunter. We also talked about Clint Capella. And, I mean, if they wanted to even go a little further, Bogdan Bogdanovic is a piece that is consistently brought up in trade rumors,
Yep.
not unlike John Collins was. So they have
it took them
optionality.
forever to trade John Collins. Like,
Yes.
like strike early,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
The Hawks clearly have trouble doing that.
Yep.
So do the Bulls.
Yes.
But hey,
absolutely.
the Bulls is trending up.
Yep.
Bulls could even further cement their hold on the 10th seed if they manage to beat the Hawks tonight. How exciting is that? We have reached the 7 o'clock hour here in Chicago. That means tip-off is right around the corner. Thank you all for hanging out with us in pregame. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done it yet. Yes, that's right. Pool D, go Bulls. Lots of gift emojis, holiday emojis, cheer emojis. Before we get out of here, Stephen, tell the people out in Bulls Nation where they can find you on Twitter, because great follow for everyone. Appreciates good basketball film breakdown. Also, great coverage of the CHGO Sky page and content for us at CHGO. AllCHGO.com. You just earlier today put out a free agent wish list for the Sky this offseason.
Yeah,
Check
yeah.
that out and tell the people where they can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on Twitter at STAYTRUESDOT and the number 3. Like Matt said, I'm always talking about basketball, whether it's the women's side, the men's side with the Bulls, or with the Phoenix Suns. I love hoop. I'll engage with you if you're willing to talk from an unbiased perspective. And yeah, let's make this basketball space of ours even better.
Let's do it, man. Stephen will be right back here with us for postgame as well, because he is a champ, hanging out late on a post-holiday night. We will hear from our guy, Will to Go Gottlieb, in postgame. He is at the UC reporting on tonight's game. Follow him, too, for his in-game updates, Will_Gottlieb. And for those of you who may have been concerned, don't worry. If this is a Bulls win tonight, Big Dave told me that he would text me the winner of Goon of the Night. So we will still have a Goon of the Night chosen by Dave, and I will just be his proxy announcer for who that is. Steve will be here with me for postgame, as will our guy, Joey, our pal and producer. Until then, let's enjoy some Bulls-Hawks madness, and we'll see you for postgame. Also, while you're watching the game, grab yourself a Goose Island. It's Chicago's beer and has been since 1988. Also, check out their tap room in West Town. Grab yourself a beer hug, y'all. Cheers. Tip.
We all silly like the mayor.